Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to another night of action at the Camping Universe Truck Series. Tonight, we're at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 150, and as always, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, my name is James E. Bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we get ready for all of our drivers to make their way out onto the grid, and then we are going to get the party started here for 150 miles around the square oval of Indianapolis. Let's take a look at tonight's grid. Starting on pole, Caleb Nelson in the 07 machine. Clark Janekin will be starting second in the 81. Corey Melton starting third in the 48. Alexander Russell in the number 27 will be starting fourth. Jeffrey Sykes starting fifth in the 04. Jared Ziegler in the number 8 starting sixth. Bryce Andrus starting seventh in the number 90 machine. Marshall Newton with Martial Arts starting 8th in the number 76. Stephen Mioch in the 95 starting 9th. Darren Clement starting 10th in the 32. Dylan Schultz will be starting 11th in the number 61. Jesse Rathburn starting the number 97 machine will be starting 12th on tonight's grid. We'll cycle it back just a little bit further where we've got Cody Schultz in the number 30 starting 13th. Craig Lowen in the 12 starting 14th. Norman King in the number 28 starting 15th. Chisnall in the number 24 will be starting 16th. Antonio Bianchi, the road racing professional, will be starting 17th and the number 51. Dave at Everyone Gage in the number 18 will be, the number 404 starting 18th. Levi Opitz starting 19th in the 31. Brian Ziegler starting 20th in the number 7. Brian Robinson in the number 37 starting 21st. Mark Proctor in the 36 will be starting 22nd on tonight's grid. Daniel J. Jensen in the number 29 will be starting 23rd. Gabe Beeman in the 25 starting 24th. And cycle it back one final time. We've got Tracy Wooten in the 14 starting the 25th. Donald Kendrick in the 127 starting 26th. Brighton Hutchins in the number 84 machine starting 27th. Kevin Nelson starting 28th. And then finally it'll be Danley Chandler in the 313 machine to round out our grid here today. As let's get ready to take them racing at the Brickyard 150. It's going to be 60 laps of non-stop action. And let's see what Nelson and Janekin can do on our front row here today. As always, thank you so much to our friends, families, sponsors, and pretty much everybody across the world that tunes in week in and week out, supporting your favorite drivers here at the Camping Universe Truck Series. All our drivers absolutely appreciate you. It is very often these guys will go back through, watch the broadcast, and they can see who's cheering them on from across the world. And frankly, those shows are a lot more fun when the spectators are here. We're going to get everybody gridded up, get them sorted out double file here before we send them out for 60 laps of non-stop action here at Indianapolis. Nelson and Janekin, no strangers to the front row here at the Camping Universe. They've got a couple fast guys behind them with Melton and Ziegler right in tow. Pace car is going to dive in. And the green flag will fly here at Indianapolis. Janekin does not get the start. He wants the number 81 machine. That's going to allow Corey Melton up the inside to the number 48 to take over second as they dive into turn 1. Ziegler, the number 8, also looking for that inside line, tucking in behind Janekin. Indianapolis, one of those tracks that looks deceivingly easy, but it is far from it. 4 very different feeling turns here. And not a lot of banking in Indianapolis in the square-shaped oval that we're running on today, compared to some of the mile-and-a-halfers or super speedways these guys are used to running at. So far, so good for Nelson out front. It's still Nelson, Melton, Janekin, Jared Ziegler, and Marshall Newton making up your top 5 here. As we've got one driver coming into pits, that's going to be Alexander Russell. And the number 27 Toyota Tundra maybe having a bit of problems. Not quite sure what's going on with Russell. Sykes in the 04 machine has a bit of an internet problem here today. Hopefully he can get that corrected before he gets told to hop out of line. Current fastest lap owned by Corey Melton, the number 48 machine. And let's see what these guys can do. Now, green flag pit stops are kind of the norm here for the Camping Universe Truck Series. A very clean group of racers. Don't often have that many problems, so let's see if they're going to be able to do it again tonight. Right now the guys are clicking off a little bit shy of 54-second lap times. So in theory, depending on what the cautions do tonight, if we get any, we should see about an hour-long race for these guys, accounting for pit stops and possible shenanigans throughout the evening. We're going to take you on board with Clark Janek in the number 81 machine, currently third on track. He's only lost one spot, and that's to Corey Melton, who's right in front of him in the number 48 machine. And let's check in on Jared Ziegler as well, as he's got Marshall Newton, Jeffrey Sykes, Darren Clement, Stephen Mioch all running right with the number 8. As you're on board with Marshall Newton, currently 5th on track. He's up 3 spots from where he started tonight. Qualified 8, just quickly put his number 76 Chevrolet up into that 5th place spot. He'll be somebody to keep an eye on as the race progresses here. So far, the guys are being a little bit patient here. Now, I know Mioch, the number 95 machine, he's got Sykes blinking in and out in front of him. Sykes just ahead in the Bully Dog 04 Chevrolet. Makes it really tough for Stephen Mioch, the number 95, to make any big lunges here, as he doesn't know when Sykes may have those problems arise again. And the last thing you want is to try and make a pass where your friend in front of you just absolutely disappears. We're going to cycle back just a little bit further where Bryce Andrus is battling with, I believe that's lap traffic, actually. I believe that's Alexander Russell just ahead of 9th place Bryce Andrus. Andrus is down 2 spots here tonight. And right behind Andrus, you've got Craig Lowen, Spencer Chisnall, 2 teammates. You've also got Dylan Schultz, Cody Schultz, Dave Gage, a lot of fast guys. Darren Clement goes side by side with Sykes in the 04 machine. Sykes is going to get right back in line. Stephen Mioch's going to look for a way around as well, looking to that inside line here. Going into turn 1, let's see if he can make it stick. Oh, that's terrible timing for Sykes to have those problems. Mioch's going to slide up the inside line to try and take over that 7th place spot. It looks like he's going to have it. Sykes may be running a wider line than he normally does to allow these guys through with his internet problems. Right now, they're just clicking off laps, making it look easy. Got more battles out on track. Let's see, Gabe Beeman's going to come down pit road in the number 25 Chevrolet. Ooh, look at that, right in time. Stephen Mioch tags that outside wall. That may allow Sykes to get some speed here if he can keep the internet issues under control and maybe battle once more for that 7th place spot currently owned by Mioch in the number 95. Mark Proctor also having bad internet problems as well in the number 36 machine. Proctor involved in the battle with Brian Ziegler, Norman King, and Antonio Bianchi. This is the battle for about 15th to 20th here. A lot of guys having connectivity issues. Not quite sure what's going on with the usual suspects. As we're going to check in on Dave Gage in the 404 machine. He's up 5 spots in the Chevrolet, currently running 13th on track behind Dylan Schultz, Spencer Chisnall, Craig Lowen. A lot of fast, consistent drivers here at the Camping Universe Series. And let's see if Gage is going to be able to reel up to Schultz in the number 61 machine. Check on up ahead. That's Darren Clement and Marshall Newton going side by side for the battle for 5th. Clement currently 5th on track. Newton is 6th on track. You're on board with Darren Clement. He's about 1.5 seconds back from Jared Ziegler, who's running 4th on track. The top 5 right now is Nelson, Melton, Janekin, Ziegler, and Clement. Clement is who you're currently watching in 5th place, and he's going to have a fair amount of pressure from Marshall Newton and Jeffrey Sykes as you ride on board with Newton in the number 76 machine. We've clicked off 10 laps so far. The guys are doing a great job putting their heads down, hitting the marks, and not having too many big issues here today. But Newton once again involved with a battle with Sykes as Sykes looks to the inside line at the end of the back stretch. Going to be interesting to see what the fuel strategy is going to be for these drivers if we keep it green throughout the duration. Are they going to try and hold off to the lap 30 mark if fuel is going to allow, or what is the plan for these drivers? Because right now they're about 1 second off their fastest times of the race. For example, your race leader Caleb Nelson, his fastest lap of the race was a 53.52. His last time by, a 54.51, so right on the money at a second slower. We're going to check on your race leaders. Caleb Nelson still out front, Corey Melton 2nd, Clark Janekin 3rd. Then they've got about a second back to Jared Ziegler, who's in 4th, and about 2.5 seconds back to Darren Clement in 5th. So the top 3 here of Caleb Nelson, Corey Melton, Clark Janekin starting to get a bit of a breakaway. Working together, keeping their heads down, and just trying to get away from the rest of the field here. As we go back to 9th place, we're looking at Spencer Chisnall in the number 24 machine, who's up 7 spots. He's got Stephen Meock, Craig Lowen, Cody Schultz, Dave Gage all in a pack here right behind him. All of these drivers looking to score some much-needed points here today, as in a few weeks we'll be getting ready for the playoffs, where we will be taking the top 12 fastest drivers here at the Camping Universe Series. Cody Schultz looks to the inside of Stephen Meock. Craig Lowen's going to also try and stick his nose in and see if he can follow suit. Not quite able to make it happen yet. Mioch gets a little bit loose there. Meanwhile, you've got guys such as Dylan Schultz and Dave Gage watching these battles in front of them, and they know every time these guys start going too wide, they're going to really punch a hole in the air and allow those two bright yellow machines to gain some more time. As now Lowen looks up to the inside of Mioch, not quite sure. Yes, he's going to make it stick. And look at the damage that Stephen has on the right side, the number 95 machine early on in tonight's race. We're about a quarter of the way through here today. And now you've got Dylan Schultz making his way up the inside. Dave Gage is going to try and do the same. So unfortunately for Mioch, he's going to keep losing positions here, not able to work his way up to the front. Chisnall still comfortably in ninth, but about 1.3 seconds back is Cody Schultz in the number 30 machine, who's already picked up 3 spots as well. And he's going to try and keep that momentum going here today. Dylan Schultz looking to the inside of Craig Lowen. Seems like he's going to make it stick against the Australian number 12 driver. Checking on our race leaders, Caleb Nelson, he still has Corey Melton glued to his rear bumper, about 0.4 of a second back, 0.3 of a second back. Both of these drivers clicked off just about perfectly a 55-second flat lap time. So about 1.5 seconds off the pace from what they did earlier on in the race when they had those fresh tires and good drafting underneath them. I would wager if the fuel will allow them, we're going to see most of our drivers come in around lap 30 if they can stretch it out that far to at least get past the halfway mark, take their 4 fresh Goodyears, a full tank of gas, and then get back out there. Because in these long green flag runs, that's kind of the norm here for the KM Universe Truck Series. It's all about averaging your lap times through and through. And we are going to have a crash happening on track. Looks like it's going to be Danny Chandler. Let's see if it brings out the caution here. Looks like we're going to keep it green. Not having any issues. Chandler able to get back to the pits. Chandler running the 313 machine. I believe he was a late entry, unable to, he's only got 9 laps down on the board so far. So maybe joined late and then had a few problems. Nelson, Melton, and Janekin still clicking off laps your top 3. Looks like Jared Ziegler's maybe gotten a little bit closer back to this top pack once more. Possibly having picked up the draft here. Making it about 1/3 of the way through tonight's race. Relatively clean so far. And now the battle for second is about to happen as Corey Melton seems to have had a moment, losing about 0.3 of a second that last lap. He's about to have a lot of pressure from Janekin and Jared Ziegler. Janekin in the bright blue number 81. Ziegler in the bright pink number 8. Baskin-Robbins backed Chevrolet. Janekin, the lone Toyota driver in the top 5, surrounded by a sea of Chevrolet. And let's see if Janekin and Ziegler are going to be able to capitalize on that. I'm also curious to see and talk to our drivers to wonder what the dirty air is going to be doing for these guys. If that's going to cause the trucks to tighten up, or how does it feel out on track when you've got somebody right in front of you pushing that air? This is definitely going to be a tire management track, as they are almost 2 seconds off their pace from what their fastest lap times were. With only 20 laps on a set of tires, they are really cooking up those right sides. On your screen, this is the 3-truck battle for second place. Corey Melton, Clark Janekin, and Jared Ziegler all running nose to tail. Caleb Nelson, your race leader, had a little bit of room to breathe, but he's only got about a 3/10 of advantage over your second place, Corey Melton. But at this stage in the tire run, how much traction do these guys truly have to play with to make any advances, try to pick up some more spots? Or are they going to be happy sitting around single file and maybe just trying to get to their fuel window here? A lot of guys having fairly good luck. Current hard charger is going to be Chisnall in the number 24 machine. Stephen Miak comes down pit road, number 95, early on. Chisnall, though, he is up 8 spots so far. He's started off 16th, worked his way into 8th, and currently is kind of cruising around in no man's land. He's got about an 1/8 of a second advantage over 9th place Cody Schultz, and he's about 3.9 seconds back from Marshall Newton. Jared Ziegler up 2 spots, still holding on to 4th place and the number 8. Bryce Anderson, the number 90, also going to initiate his pit stop here at lap 22. So not sure if we're seeing some drivers schedule themselves for a 2-stop race, or if we're going to see a few of the guys, especially the top 4, top 5 drivers running in this pack, maybe try to make it a 1-stop race, see if they can stretch it out to lap 30. That's probably the best thing about green flag racing. You get to see these guys show what they have on the track as far as their driving ability and show their smarts off the track with the strategy here at the Camping Universe Truck Series. Now, next week we're going to be going to Kansas for the City of Fountains 150. Then followed up by a Dega doubleheader before our chase round starts at Bristol, where we're going to take the top 12 drivers in the points chase and see who the season championship is going to be belonging to. Not a lot of rounds left. Once the chase starts, we're at Bristol, Darlington, Daytona, Phoenix, and then Martinsville on November 8th to decide the championship. So our drivers are going to have a busy few weeks trying to score as many points as they possibly can. Tracy Wooten, number 14, Ford F-150. He's going to come down pit road as well on lap 23. And And that's another thing that can make the racing interesting here. Once you start getting drivers on different tire strategies, you're going to have some guys hauling the mail over 2 seconds faster than a lap than their competition. We've made it 24 laps in here today. Janekin getting right on the bumper of Corey Melton. Jared Ziegler also trying to squeeze through as well, the number 8 machine. But judging by these lap times, it's going to be extremely difficult for any of these drivers to make any big moves with how the tire wear is coming into play here. Cycle back a little bit further. You got a heated battle for 13th. Craig Lowen, Cody Schultz. Lowen currently 13th on track, trying to catch up to his teammate Spencer Chisnall, who's running 12th. Proctor in the 36. He'll come down pit road for his first stop of the night. We've also got another battle with Antonio Bianchi. You're currently on board with the number 51 machine. He's trying to get around Norman King's number 28 Ford F-150 to take over that 8th place spot. Wooten leaving his pit stall after 1 minute and 26 seconds. That's a very long stop. Not sure if there may have been a speeding penalty involved there or what may have happened, as generally you see a total pit lane time about 45 to 50 seconds depending on what is done in the stall. Cycle it back up front where still they are running nose to tail. Caleb Nelson out front, Clark Janekin second, Jared Ziegler third, and Corey Melton has shuffled back a spot into 4th here late in the fuel and tire run. I would imagine these guys come down pit road around the lap 30 mark to make it that one-stop race, as they are well over 2 seconds off the pace from their fastest laps here at Indianapolis. But it looks like Clark Janekin, the number 81, is going to put the pressure on Nelson here to try and pick up the race lead. Still charging as hard as they can at this point. Nelson's last time by a 55.45 compared to his session best of a 53.52. So a very good indicator of what the tire wear is doing as Janekin looks to the inside line against Nelson, not quite able to dive it in there. I think that could be a major part of that is going to be due to the tire wear these drivers are currently fighting out on track. Jared Ziegler in 3rd place. He's about a half second back from Clark Janekin. And here we go, the battle for the lead. Clark Janekin and Caleb Nelson go side by side into turn 1. Nelson looks for the inside line once more, not going to be able to make it stick against Janekin, who's already got about a 1/4 of a second advantage over Nelson. We're going to cycle it back to the battle for 16th. That's all sorts of wild. Kevin Nelson in 16th, Brighton Hutchins in 17th, Cody Schultz in 18th. Schultz may be facing tire wear issues a little bit earlier than the rest of the field, or it could be because of the right side damage that his truck has after tagging that wall. But unfortunately, Schultz in the number 30 Ford F-150, he has lost 5 spots so far here today. Darren Clement, number 32, he's going to come down pit road at the halfway mark here today. As well as Alexander Russell will look to come down pit road in the number 27. As well as Dylan Schultz, Brian Ziegler also doing the same. Let's check in on your race leader, Clark Janek, and see what these guys are going to do, how long they're going to stay out for. Maybe get some sort of insight on what the race leaders are going to do as far as pit strategy goes. At this point, your top 12 have opted to stay out, but no, they're all going to dive down pit lane with Clark Janek leading the charge. Let's see if anybody stays out here. But all of our drivers doing their best to make it a one-stop race. Currently, first through sixth has come in. Bianchi is going to make a pass on Norman King going down pit road. Oh, no! Craig Lowen has binned it. That may bring out the caution here, as he has binned it coming down pit road. Excuse me. What a night. Craig Lowen just has a bit of problems on pit road, and that's going to throw a monkey wrench in a lot of the drivers' plans here. As it looks like we're still green out on track, Clark Janek is going to be your race leader once more, as he is absolutely flying out of the pit road. As he cuts by traffic, that's with the number 97 of Jesse Rathburn that the race leader Clark Janek has cut through here. I think everybody's got to be thankful the caution did not fly during that pit incident, where again it was Craig Lowen, the number 12 machine, maybe came a little bit hot, locked up the brakes and tagged the inside wall and almost bounced back out into the racetrack. So now your race leader Clark Janek, he's got about a 1.3 second lead over Corey Melton, who is in second. So these guys should be able to make it a one-stop race here today. But let's see what the lap times show as they all come back out on fresh tires. Corey Melton in second place, driving strong, using lap traffic's draft to try and pull his way up to the race leader of Janek. King going to come back down pit road in the number 28 machine. And now it's going to be Jared Ziegler in the 8, running fourth on track, clicks off the fastest lap of the race with a 53.08. Charging hard. He's got Cody Schultz put up with that damaged number 30 machine. Between himself and the race leader, Melton's going to go to the inside line. And he's going to make it stick. Caleb Nelson's going to try and do the same thing in the 07. Nelson currently third on track. He's down 2 spots from where he started here today. The battle for the lead's going to get going, but just as we say that, Antonio Bianchi has problems, the number 51 machine, as he is at a snail's pace. The battle for the lead was about to really shake up here. We're going to stay green for now unless Bianchi is unable to get off of the racing surface. iRacing a little bit fickle on when and how they decide to throw the caution. Only 26 laps left to go for our competition here today. And now we're once again a 4-truck rodeo for the leaders here. Oh no, Chisnall shows in an incident. And the number 24 machine, that will definitely bring out the caution. Let's take a quick look and see what happened to Chisnall, number 24 machine, to put him sideways on the racing surface. You're watching Chisnall, number 24, just looks very loose. And unfortunately, it looks, oh, look at the drift. Putting on a show, just not quite able to save it, and he's going to careen against the inside wall. And that, unfortunately, will bring out the very first caution of the night. We're going to try and get all of our drivers formed up behind the pace car as we have the caution out for the very first time tonight. Going to be interesting to see who, if anyone, takes tires here. As it's going to be Janekin, Melton, Nelson, Ziegler, Clement, your top 5. We'll get them formed up and see if anybody decides to come down pit road. A lot of drivers are. Looks like Corey Melton, Caleb Nelson, Jared Ziegler, Darren Clement, Sykes, Newton, Schultz, Brian Ziegler, Mark Proctor, Robinson, Opitz, all coming down pit road. Clark Janekin, your race leader, though, and the number 81, he's going to opt to stay out here. So it should be about 21 laps to go once we get things fired back up. As our driver's going to fall around the iRacing pace car, the Ford Mustang, leading the guys around. As Janekin doing a little bit of fuel saving as you listen on board the number 81. So it looks like it's just going to be Janekin and Kevin Nelson in the 09 machine that opt to stay out. Now Kevin Nelson's picked up 26 spots from that move. But let's see how it's going to affect the guys, as tire wear has probably been the biggest thing here at Indianapolis we've seen really affect the lap times as the races progress. We're going to get them formed up, double file, and send them back out with it's going to be about 21 laps left to go for this restart. And let's see if they can make it to the end, or if Janekin's going to be able to hold on to it with those 7-lap older tires compared to the drivers around him. This is going to be very interesting to see what happens, especially with some drivers being on different tire strategies here today. Somebody keep an eye on Jared Ziegler on the number 8 machine. He's one of the drivers that came in at lap 37 that definitely took 4 tires as well as fuel. Janekin gets a great launch. Oh, it looks like they were trying to crash back here. We're going to go on board with Caleb Nelson, the 07 machine, watching Marshall Newton and Jared Ziegler battle it out. Newton may have taken 2 tires in that stop, judging by he was in his stall for about 10.2 seconds compared to Jared Ziegler, who's in his stall for 15.5. And this is going to get a little bit dicey. You get the field stacked back up together with guys on different tire strategies. Things can definitely happen as we watch Jared Ziegler take over second place from Kevin Nelson. Putting those new tires to work here. 21 laps to go for our competition. We're watching Caleb Nelson battle it out with Kevin Nelson. And you've also got Corey Melton in the mix there as well. So 3 teammates running 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Looks like Caleb's going to pick up the spot from Kevin. As Corey Melton also going to look to the inside line. That may be the difference, ladies and gentlemen, of what 7 laps on a set of tires can do when you're trying to push 100%. And look at this. Jared Ziegler battling for the lead here with Clark Janekin. Again, Janekin, the number 81, the bright blue 81 on the left side of your screen. He has not come in since lap 30. Ziegler came in at lap 37 to take 4 fresh Goodyears in that tank of gas. So he's got a little bit more tire wear to play with, but Janekin has the straight line speed as he's got the draft support of Caleb Nelson, Corey Melton, and Kevin Nelson. We're going to cycle it back a little bit further so you can watch the battle. You're on board with Corey Melton, currently 4th on track, watching this massive battle up front. Jared Ziegler trying to make the truck about 3 lanes wide. Clark Janekin's going to drop down to 3rd. Caleb Nelson takes over 2nd. Corey Melton tags that outside wall. As your race leader's doing everything to break the draft up front, Caleb Nelson's looking to the inside line against Ziegler. Looks like he's going to make it stick, and here comes Janekin as well to challenge back with Jared Ziegler. They make the slightest amount of contact, but look at that. That's how quickly things can change here in the top four. As now Jared Ziegler's been shuffled back to fourth. Corey Melton's going to look at the inside of Janekin into turn one. And he will make it stick. This is going to give Caleb Nelson, your race leader, ample opportunity to breathe here. As our top four has been putting on a show all night long. Jared Ziegler still trying to put pressure on Clark Janekin to get his way back into the podium. Jared currently holds about a 1.2 second advantage over fifth place, Marshall Newton. So his battle is all in front of him here today. But you got to hand it to Janekin, number 81 machine. Still fighting hard for that podium spot despite being on slightly older tire set compared to those around him. Bianchi in the 51, he's going to come down pit road maybe to get some repairs done on his machine after a rough night for several drivers. And the battle for third still extremely hot on track as Ziegler right on the rear bumper of Janekin. Looks to the inside line down the end of the backstretch. He will get the position. Can he hold on to it? Now, Jared Ziegler on the number 8 does have 7-lap newer tires compared to Janekin. Only 15 laps left to go for our competition. Caleb Nelson comfortably out front, almost a full second advantage over second place Corey Melton. Melton's got about a 7/10 second advantage over third place Ziegler. Already, the tire wear playing a factor. Caleb Nelson, his last time by, a 53.74. He's about 6/10 off of his fastest lap of the race, which was a 53.13. Chisnall finally leaves his pit stall after 4 minutes of repairs after his solo crash. That brought out the first caution of the night. As we're under the overcast skies here at Indianapolis, the guys are doing a great job clicking it off. Only 14 laps left to go. Will anybody be able to catch up to Caleb Nelson, your race leader in the 07, as he's a full second ahead of second place Corey Melton? And now Ziegler seems to have found some pace here. He is starting to rapidly catch up to Corey Melton in the number 48 machine. as we may see a battle for second shake up. Now again, your top 3 drivers all on the same tire strategy, all coming out lap 37 for those 4 fresh tires. Melton doing everything he can to break the draft of Jared Ziegler as they swerve across the backstretch here at Indianapolis, going into turns 3 and 4. Going to be interesting to see how much that actually plays a role, if it will help Corey Melton at all, or may actually slow him down, as Corey Melton and Jared Ziegler are going to come upon lap traffic. That's going to be Craig Lowen and the number 12 Ford F-150. Who's going to be able to navigate traffic the cleanest here? Melton gets by traffic. Ziegler not quite able to make it as smooth, as now he will make his way around Lowen's number 12 machine to get back to the battle for second. That bought Melton just a little bit of time here, but most likely not quite enough, as Ziegler is still in the draft. Looking at that inside line on Melton. We've got Proctor, the number 36 machine. He comes down pit road late. Proctor, unfortunately, has been plagued by internet problems all night long. Only 11 laps left to go for these guys. Jared Ziegler has been yo-yoing closer and then further back from Corey Melton. Melton appears he may have tagged the wall right there. That's going to allow Ziegler to get a massive run on the number 48 machine. Looks to the outside line. And Melton will hold on to it here. Melton still doing everything he can to break the draft of Ziegler. These guys are putting on a show here today for second place. Now we know how important the draft is here at a track where the tire wear is becoming a factor, but at what point are you losing time while trying to break the draft? Because Ziegler is not going to let Melton go away unanswered. Let's see if they do it again as you're on board with Jared Ziegler. Melton trying his best to defend the inside line. Ziegler's not going to let him away that easy, and they crash into each other. Jared Ziegler, Corey Melton have binned it for second place. After battling hard, they have crashed themselves out. We're going to take a quick look at that one, but that is going to be heartbreaking for several drivers involved. We're going to watch that one once more. You've got Ziegler, who's been drafting back and forth with Melton all night. In the last 3-4 laps, Melton's done everything in his power to try and hold it off. And then just like that, I can't tell if Melton came down or if Ziegler came up. But that's the second and third place driver that are going to be involved in that incident. And they're both going to have heavy, heavy damage after that 2-car incident. And, man, that's going to really shake things up here for the top 3 and the top 5 of the Camping Universe Truck Series. That will bring out our second caution of the night. Caleb Nelson still out front. We're going to get them gridded back up for the final restart of the night, or possibly the final restart of the night. It's kind of tough to tell how everything else has went for these drivers. Nelson still staying out. Ziegler and Janekin coming down pit road. That's going to allow Newton to take over second place, with Brian Ziegler shuffling his way up to third. So it's going to be about 6 laps left to go once we get this race fired up and going again. Now, I believe Melton did have to take a tow back to pit road in the number 48 machine, unable to get back on his own power. So unfortunately, he will be out and done for the evening. But let's see how this 6-lap shootout, it looks like the top 8 are opting to stay out. All drivers that have not come in since lap 37. Janekin able to get back out on track in the number 81 machine. He came in on lap 52, as well as Schultz, Clement, Hunchins, Nelson, and Jensen. So we are still single file. Have not quite formed the guys up double file yet, where it'll be a final shootout here for the Brickyard 150 at the Camping Universe Truck Series. So far we've had 2 cautions tonight. Sykes in the 04 still having those connectivity issues. Right now the top 5 is Caleb Nelson, Newton, Brian Ziegler, Jeffrey Sykes, Levi Opitz making up the top 5. We're going to get them formed up double file. It's going to be a final 6-lap shootout here at Indianapolis once we get them out on track for the final time here tonight. Pace car should be making its way in this time by. And then we're going to send them out for possibly the final time. We do have green-white checker attempts here at the Camping Universe Truck Series. It's going to be interesting to see if we need them, but it's cautions always breed cautions. But the good news is I think that most of the top 8 all have not pitted since lap 37. So may not quite have the tire wear to do anything too wild in the closing 6 laps here in Indianapolis. Nelson still out front. Sykes side by side with Newton. Newton's going to look to the inside line. Not quite able to make it happen. You've also got Brian Ziegler in the mix in the number 7 machine, who does have a little bit of damage on the Verizon back, number 7. As the field kind of all over the place back there for, I believe, 7th. That's Levi Opitz all the way on the inside line. And the number 31 machine, he's going to go 3 wide with Dylan Schultz and I believe Darren Clement as well. We see a little bit of smoke. I'm not quite sure who that was. That was Darren Clement having a problem with the number 32 machine, but keeps it pointing in the right direction. That's going to allow Caleb Nelson to keep charging hard, about a half second ahead of Jeffrey Sykes. Sykes has about a 3/10. No, it's rapidly closing to about a quarter of a second advantage over Marshall Newton. Brian Robinson tags the outside wall, the number 37 machine. Looks like we're going to stretch out our top 3 just ever so slightly. Newton, though, still has a lot of pressure coming from Brian Ziegler and the number 7 machine. Clark Chinekin and the number 81, who's no stranger to being up front as well. Let's see what happens with 5 laps left to go. Janekin makes a move on Brian Ziegler's number 7 machine. Janekin came in on lap 52 and took 4 fresh tires that may be paying out well for him here today. As we've got 4 laps left to go, Marshall Newton's about to get pressure from somebody with much fresher tires. About 15 lap newer tires Clark Janekin has over the top 3. As he's going to go up the inside of Marshall Newton on the backstretch at Indianapolis. 4 laps left to go. Janekin charging to the inside line. Now he's going to work on Sykes in the 04 machine. Now Sykes has had that internet problem all day. Let's see if it can stay with him when he needs it the most here. Sykes' last pit stop was on lap 37, where he was trying to get a little bit of damage repaired. He was in his box for 25 seconds. Janekin going to take over the race, from second place from Sykes. Now, is Janekin going to have enough time here to catch up to Caleb Nelson with 3 laps left to go? This is going to be a final shootout here at Indianapolis. It's Caleb Nelson, Janekin, Sykes, Newton, and Brian Ziegler making up your top 5 here. I believe that was Dave Gage in the 404 machine we saw coming down pit lane for the final time. But it is 2 laps left to go. Caleb Nelson looking for a win here, but Clark Janekin is so fast with those new tires. Janekin was about 0.6 of a second faster than Nelson that last time by. Meanwhile, you've also got the battle for 3rd shaking up. Marshall Newton putting the pressure on Jeffrey Sykes. Great racing all across the track. Dylan Schultz putting the pressure on Bryton Hutchins for 5th place. So with 2 laps left to go, everything's but decided, but look at this. We got a battle for the lead. Janekin goes to the inside of Caleb Nelson. And Jeffrey Sykes disappears when he needs it the most. White flag is out. Janekin, your new race leader. And again, we've also got the battle for 4th on track, for 3rd, as Newton is doing everything in his power to get around Jeffrey Sykes. Clark Janekin, he is put about a 0.9 of a second over Caleb Nelson here late in the race. And this is the battle for 3rd, as Newton's going to go to the inside of Sykes. Going into turn 3, we've also got Bryton Hutchins, Dylan Schultz in the mix. Newton appears he's going to take over 3rd place. The checkered flag will fly for Clark Janekin, who's got about a 1.4 second lead over Caleb Nelson. Marshall Newton slides into 3rd, Bryton Hutchins into 4th. And that is going to be it as they start crashing behind them. But it's going to be Clark Janekin, Caleb Nelson, and Marshall Newton to round out our top three here today. Great racing here at the end of the Camping Universe Brickyard 150. And just like that, Clark Janekin's going to celebrate in style on the number 81 machine with a pit strategy that paid off dividends. Coming in on lap 52, he came out with 15-lap newer tires than the previous top three standings. So it's going to be Clark Janekin on top, Caleb Nelson second, and Marshall Newton picking up his first podium of the season. Great racing all around, good clean racing, only 2 laps during our 60-lap main event here tonight at Indianapolis. And as always, great racing on behalf of all our competitors putting on the show each and every week. As always, on behalf of Camping Universe Truck Series, as well as Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, thank you all so much for tuning in for the Brickyard 150 here at Indianapolis. We'll see you next week with more non-stop action. Have a great night, everyone.